So this is my daughter, Brianna Brooks. Those yellow pants, as you see, are her favorite pants. She would wear them every family occasion. So we host Thanksgiving every year. There's someone chosen to host Thanksgiving. In the year I was hosting, the color I chose was bright burnt orange. And as you see, she's her own individual, so she wore yellow instead. And I know it says we're also a recipient family, so my son is a tissue recipient. He received second-degree burns in a fire in his campus apartment when he was in college. So we are on both sides of recipient and donor side. So that beautiful smile, I love that smile. She was a rambunctious young little lady, but my firstborn. And she came in this world with the knowledge of an old soul. Brianna, in that bottom picture in the yellow shirt, she started driving. I was so nervous. Her dad was teaching her how to drive because I didn't have the patience to teach her. She loved to dance. She played the violin. She was in chorus. She did gymnastics, of course, cheerleading, tap, ballet, whatever Brianna wanted to do, she did. She was a champion of the underdog. So in school, she made sure kids would have meals. She would use her money in her lunch account, which meant that I was supporting other students getting meals. But that's just the student she was. She attracted a lot of individuals, but she loved those that weren't part of the clique. She was one that they're not sitting by themselves, they're sitting by themselves, let me go sit with them. And that's how she was. Now at the age of 5, we lived here in Florida, West Palm Beach, where she was born. And at 5, I moved to Atlanta for a new job, and we met her new pediatrician, Dr. Renette Flowers. Dr. Flowers was a famous pediatrician in Atlanta, and that first visit, Brianna was just so mesmerized by Dr. Flowers. She just kept her eyes focused on her. And so once we got in the car after the appointment, she says, Mom, I know what I want to do with my life. I said, wow, I don't know what I'm doing with mine, and I'm an adult. She says, I want to be a pediatrician. And she said it so clear at the age of 5, she says, I want to help sick babies. I want to take care of sick babies. She says, I love babies. So at the time, her brother was just 1. And she was like the second mom to her brother. She would run to feed him, to hold him. She knew which cry was which with him. At 18, Brianna had her first son, Eric, who is the oldest. And then in the middle is Miss Kylie. I call her Bear. She used to wear these little Afro puffs that looked like a little teddy bear. And in that picture with her fiance, she was pregnant with her 3rd child, Caitlin. On August 30th, 2014, I received a call at 1 o'clock in the morning that Brianna and her fiance had been kidnapped. I didn't believe it was true, and I hung up the phone, but her stepmother called me back to let me know it was true. I rushed to the scene to find out what was going on. I let the police know that she was 7 months pregnant at the time. I said, I just met with her hours before this happened, and that evening we met every Friday to go over their plans for getting married. The following Saturday, she was having her baby shower. So she was going over what she wanted. She loved spinach dip. She requested 2 pans of spinach dip, but I was like, we're not going to have that many people. She says, it's for me. I said, okay. So I told Durante, her fiance, I said, you sure you want to marry this girl? She's kind of feisty, but she's lovable. He says, I love her, Miss Strong. He says, I will do anything for her. I love my babies. He loved Eric, even though Eric wasn't biologically his. He says, I would die for them. So I went home waiting to hear for an Amber Alert, which never happened. And I got the call that I need to go to the emergency room at Grady Hospital in Atlanta. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, they found him. She was asthmatic, so I said, okay, everything's going to be okay. I met her father there at the hospital. A doctor and a social worker brought us into a very low-lit room and said, we need to sit. And so I sat down, and that's when they told us that Brianna had suffered a gunshot wound to the back of her head, and they had to do emergency C-section for her baby. She had less than 24 hours to live, and that baby wouldn't survive either. So I had to make preparations. So I went into mode of survival mode, of calling everybody to have their last moments with her. I had to drive to her brother's college. He had just started college 2 weeks before to go get him so he could spend some time with his sister. Now that baby, I told them, I said, I don't want to see the baby. I was so super focused on her. I wanted her to get better. And I prayed over her, and they told me after 3 days, they said it's time to do the brain test. I said, okay. I said, I believe that I'm going to get a miracle. I'm going to pray for a miracle. So I paced that floor in Grady, and they finally called our family. My family was there, her brother was there, her father, and his family was there. We were in a conference room. They sat down and said, you know, Ms. Strong, we ran this test not once, not twice, but 3 times. Unfortunately, Brianna was declared brain death at 6:16 p.m. Her father was just overwhelmed and left out the room. And I sat there in disbelief, but I was like, okay. And he says, there is an opportunity for Brianna to save lives. And I didn't think about organ donation. We had discussed it years when she got her permit. She said, I want to be an organ donor, only my major organs. And that was it. That was the conversation. I said, okay. I was a registered donor when I got my license, and I've been ever since. So I told them, yes, I would. I said, but Brianna's wishes were only her major organs. I wish I'd given more of her, now that I know more about organ donation. So they did the surgery, the recovering of her organs at Emory, because Grady was a trauma hospital. It was too busy and time was running out. So they were able to recover 4 organs, her kidneys, liver, and her heart. When I got the call from the hospital administrator for organ procurement, she let me know that Brianna was the only donor that day at Emory. And so they flew a flag in her honor, and I would receive that flag to display at home. So that flag is, when you walk in her home, it's on a table by the front door with her picture on it. Now, that baby, that 1.25 baby, that baby survived. I was told Kaylee would not survive, but she celebrated birthday 10 last year. That tiny little thing I'm holding was the first time I held her. I was scared to hold her because she was so small, but she needed me to hold her. She needed to know that someone loved her and that she was going to be okay. The doctor that I'm next to up there is the doctor that delivered Kaylee. 3 years later, I did a Donate Life presentation at Grady Hospital, and he came up to me afterward. He says, you don't know me, but I delivered your grandchild, and I didn't think that baby would survive. He says, I didn't even think twice about it. He says, but she's definitely a miracle. And of course, I volunteer with LifeLink, doing many events, sharing Brianna's story, and trying to get people to register to be donors and get educated about organ donation. And the young woman, the white woman down there at the bottom, she came up behind me and said, you don't know me, but I know your daughter because I was in the surgery room when we recovered her organs. They said a prayer for Brianna before they started, and they said she was such a beautiful woman, and we always want to know. We never know what happens to the families. We don't know about them. So she was happy to see that I was sharing Brianna's story. Now these are her babies, all grown up just about. We go every year to put flowers out for Mother's Day, for her birthday, Donate Life Month. And they love being there, which is really strange to me. At the top is the most recent one, so they are now 13, 10, and 11. And I affectionately call them BB, Bear, and Bean. Bean is the baby. My son gave her that name because she was so tiny, like a little bean. And Bear, of course, with the little puffs, and BB, that was his mom's name. So they all have B names, nicknames, like their This is Brianna's heart recipient. This is Amber Jones. She reached out to me 3 years after Brianna's donated. She felt survivor's guilt. She did not know if she wanted to reach out to me, but I was thankful that she did because I had prayed about wanting to hear from her, and that next day she reached out. And I was at the doctor's office and I broke down crying, and they thought something was wrong. I said, no, I'm happy because I heard from the heart recipient. The heart was the first to reach out. Amber survived for 6 years. She had 6 more years. She got a chance to go back to the beach. She sent me pictures of her feet up at the beach. She got to travel with friends. She got to watch her niece grow up to graduate from high school and just spend more time with her family and her dog, Babe. The day that she passed away, she did give a message to give to me, which was simple as, thank you for the love, thank you for the gift. I love the fact that you welcomed me into your family, and she was paying it forward. So she became a cornea donor. She donated her corneas. And this young man, Andrew Hobbs, is Brianna's liver recipient. His family, he was saying goodbye to his family when he got the call that he received. He's got a liver waiting for him. He was trying to explain to his young daughter that even though he physically wouldn't be there with her, he would always be around in her heart. So when he got that call, they rushed to Emory to get that transplant. He sent me a picture I didn't have here, but his face was so gray, he was so frail. But after surgery, his color came back, and he has very few medications he has to take. He said, that liver took to me, and he says, I just want to be worthy of the gift and strong. And I said, you know what? You received the gift, so you are worthy of that gift. He has his own nonprofit, Black Donors Matter, trying to encourage his community to get educated about donation and not be fearful about it, but to register to help those in need. And Brianna was honored in the Donate Life Rose Bowl Parade float called Rhythm of the Heart. It was absolutely the perfect time for her to be a part of that. I do have that florograph that I framed. So this is the actual float florograph that they framed and gave to me. I got a chance, all the donor families get a chance to put the final touches on the florograph. Each florograph takes roughly 16 to 18 hours to put together, and one person does that. And I did the eyebrows, so, you know, those eyebrows look good if I'm a system. So of course it was the first trip. The girls got to go on a plane to California. We were welcomed by the Delta crew like we were just superstars. And of course the girls are like, we're going to our mommy's parade. Are you going to watch our mommy's parade? And I was like, it's the Donate Life float. It's our mommy's parade. I said, okay. So as you can see, Brianna's picture up at the top right on the float, pictures we took. I have videos of the float going by. I had to have my best friend came and surprised me and showed up to be there for me. But it's very emotional, but it's also very calming, and it meant the world to us to meet other donor families. On the float, the recipients ride on the float. So if you receive the gift of life, you get a chance to ride on that float. The florographs of the donors and those that walk in the parade, that young man, he was a living donor. So he donated one of his kidneys. So they walk in the parade. Of course, that evening, New Year's Eve, they got their party on, and of course you see the social butterfly, Miss Kylie, with her Wakanda Forever. And Miss Kaylee on her imagination, her hands on her imagination. But they partied and danced on that dance floor all night. I was tired. I was tired after 20 minutes and ready to go, but I let them have their fun. And so I take pride in, I worked on the UPS float because the Donate Life float was done. So we volunteer our time, donor families don't volunteer our time to add to the float, have much respect for those. My fingers were numb, sore, pinning tree limbs and flowers and petals, but it turned out beautiful.
2 years ago, everything changed and our lives were forever connected. 2 separate families and 2 separate worlds were united together by chance. A beautiful life that ended too soon gave the future to those in waiting. Your loss so tremendous, her gift so amazing, a day we will never forget. The day I became the keeper of her heart. 2 souls, 1 heart are intertwined forever. Her heart beat strong. Her legacy continued. Each day a reminder of the sacrifice made, the second chance that was given, her memory that will never fade. Today I am sending you a token, a piece of what lives on, the heartbeat of your daughter, the miracle that was done.
That was a Christmas gift I got the year after I met Amber. The best Christmas gift that I'll ever get. And I'll have it forever. I have it on my phone, both phones, everywhere, on my laptop. So if I want to hear her heartbeat, I just click on it and just listen to that beat. So, as you see, Brianna's legacy will continue because she chose to be an organ donor. We started our nonprofit, Brianna's Heart of Gold, and to help those that want to go into the medical field. You don't have to be a doctor or want to be a doctor, nurse, anything in the medical field. Our job and our assignment for her to give somebody that opportunity that she didn't get a chance to have. So last year we awarded her first scholarship to a student going to Kennesaw State University in the medical field. And so she checks in with me and she's doing great. Her first year was absolutely wonderful. And she's going to finish out with a bang, and I am excited for her and what she's going to do. And we look forward in May to issue a scholarship in our county to a student graduating from high school. And this is a way to connect with us. I do have flyers and QR codes at the table back there with Shantae. If anyone wants to connect with us and follow us and join our newsletter, we send out newsletters about events that we're a part of and just anything that's going on with us. I try to be transparent about the life of a donor mom and as a grandmother raising grandchildren. So thank you all so much for listening to me share my story of my hero.